I, 41F, have been dating Chris, 41M, for a year and a half. About 4 months ago we decided that he should officially move and help with renting because he stayed at my place for a year not going home, and it seemed like making it official was the next step. We live in an extremely high cost of living area. My rent is $3,300 a month, and that's a very good deal in the area. I've worked my butt off to be able to make it here, to the detriment of my own savings. Meanwhile, Chris grew up in the area, so has always lived at home not paying rent, so he has a substantial savings of over $100,000. Having this help with rent is allowing me to build a small savings. We split everything 50-50, bills, common purchases, trips and etc. It's not like he's been spending money on me or supporting me outside of his half of the rent. When Chris was 18, he got into a dirt bike accident that messed up his ankle. He finally decided to have it looked at, and it will require surgery and a 6-month recovery that he will not be able to work during because his job is physical. Chris has all the toys and freely spends his money on his hobbies. 10K mountain bike he constantly spends money on, brand new F250 he bought outright. Last week he dropped $2,500 on fixing something on his dirt bike that he rides max 3 times a year. I've never been able to purchase any toy for myself. For perspective, last month I bought myself my first pair new of shoes in 3+ years. I don't judge his money or spending as long as he covers his bills. He is a grown man, and it's his money. We aren't married or even engaged. Yesterday, he informed me that when he gets surgery he expects me to cover all the rent and utilities and bills again since he will be out of work. I explained I wasn't comfortable with this as it would be a detriment to me, and the recovery time is quite extensive. He pointed out that with my new raise I should be able to cover everything easily. I pointed out I am trying to build my savings. If we were married or even engaged I'd be open to this idea as we'd be mixing finances and making financial decisions together, but just dating and him only just officially moving in, I'm not comfortable with this, and pointed out he has more than enough savings and FMLA, disability should allow him to contribute to the house expenses. He again said that since we are now living together and I got the raise, that he shouldn't have to dip into his savings. He also said that he wasn't ready to get engaged, and I'm not ready to either, especially after this discussion and watching his spending. This entire situation has really given me the icks and is making me second-guess our relationship and future, as to me it seems we aren't aligned financially, and to be honest, I can't wrap my head around a perspective of someone living rent-free while the other partner struggles and they have access to a substantial liquid savings. Not only would I be covering all the rent, but also everything else, groceries, utilities, etc. Comment 1. You're not obligated to financially support a grown man with $100,000 in savings and expensive hobbies just because he's having surgery. If the roles were reversed, would he dip into his own savings to support you? Based on his response, probably not. You're not being cold-hearted, you're being realistic. If he's unwilling to contribute at all while recovering, that's a red flag about how he views partnership. Comment 2. NTA. Tell him it's best he leaves now, and he can mooch of someone else for 6 months. This should be a wake-up call to you. This man is mean with his money, except when spending it on himself. You would never be able to rely on this man if, in turn, you ever became ill or even if you were pregnant. By Chris. Comment 3. This guy is setting you up to take advantage of you. He knows what he is doing. Send him back to his family. You would be paying all the bills and taking care of home. He will most likely expect you to help care for him in recovery as well. You would be a fool to do this to yourself and would never save any money. Story 2. Asking my future brother-in-law and his wife to return an expensive gift I gave them after they limit contact with me. I, 35F, have been with my partner, Jamie, 33M, for over 6 years and we're getting married this fall. For most of our relationship, I've had a close bond with his brother, Matt, 37M, and Matt's wife, Claire, 39F. We've shared holidays, dinners, hangouts, and I've always done what I could to support them, especially during hard times. I am the primary source of income. About 2 months ago, I bought a new car and offered them my old car, $6,500. It was still in good working condition and they accepted it, so I fully transferred it over to them. It was a genuine gift, from a place of love and support, and I was happy to help because they relied 100% on public transportation. Over the past years, I also gave small things, like household items, groceries, things for their kid. All meant kindly, never with any expectations. But now things have shifted. Claire recently initiated a conversation where she said the gifts and emotional support I offered had felt too much, overwhelming, etc., and even went as far as saying she felt I was using them to fulfill my own emotional needs. She said she no longer feels comfortable around me and wants to limit contact, i.e. don't text them unless they text first, and slow down. This completely blindsided me. I was never given any indication before that she felt this way. One example Claire brought up really confused me. They have a shy cat, Shadow, who hides whenever we visit. We've never seen her in person and it became a running joke between me and Jamie that she might not actually exist, a reference to the M&M Christmas commercial, "He does exist." Claire said she found that joke offensive, like we were mocking a traumatized animal. That felt like a major overreaction to something light-hearted and affectionate. Now here's the part that's really been weighing on me. Claire and Matt have made it clear they don't want any more gifts or support and that our relationship needs distance. Gifts for their kid are okay. And they're still happy to keep the car I gave them. Something that came from a time when our relationship was close, warm, and mutual. To be clear, I haven't asked for the car back. But I've been thinking about sending a message, not demanding anything, but pointing out the emotional disconnect, that they've rejected ongoing support, suggested past support was not genuine yet have no issue keeping such a significant gift, the car. I want to ask them to reflect on what that means. Jamie is supportive of whatever decision I make, but he's worried this might further rupture things with his family. His mom also relies on Matt and Claire for transportation to our wedding, and he's concerned that asking for the car back, or even just bringing it up, might make that more complicated. Comment 1. If the car was indeed meant as a genuine gift, then no, you shouldn't ask for it back. As you said, it was given during better times in the relationship. Now the dynamic of the relationship has changed per their request. So it would be appropriate to just do a no gifts policy with them going forward. I also think that it's probably best to leave things where they lie and not ask for further clarification so this doesn't break down any further before your wedding. Give it some time and see if a discussion between all of you can happen at a later time. Comment 2. For real. They accepted gifts totaling over $8,000 and now, it's smothering and doesn't seem genuine. That should have been stated way before it got to the car. OP should let it go and move differently involving the interactions with this couple. Meaning no more gifts for adults and gifts for the kids on birthdays and Christmas only. Don't even offer advice. Get married and concentrate on yourself and your husband. Story 3, confronting a mom whose kids were stealing all the eggs I'd hidden for my friends. Yesterday my girlfriend, 32F, and I, 35, threw a little combination Easter 420 get-together for some friends in a large public park that included, as one element, an Easter egg hunt. This is a big local park where people often do small private egg hunts for their families and friends, so the idea isn't totally out there. We bought around 100 plastic eggs, stuffed each one with 2 to 3 pieces of candy, and hid them within a smallish area of the park about 20 minutes before everyone else was due to arrive. We figured because the weather was nice, we'd probably lose a few eggs due to kids walking by and stumbling on easy-to-find ones, but we bought enough that we could absorb some marginal losses. Some were pretty visible, others psychotically well hidden, most were pretty much in the middle, you'd have to really be looking to spot them walking by. While we were waiting for all of our friends to arrive, we noticed 3 kids running around the area where we'd hidden them, and they all had their arms full of eggs. Like 15 to 20 apiece easily. Their mom was sort of trailing behind, not paying attention, and on the phone. It got to a point where we finally got her attention and she literally went, "Is it okay if they take these?" My GF and I were both dumbfounded. Because, again, we figured we'd lose a few eggs to kids who grabbed one or two. But this was egregious. They had easily 50 between them. There were 15 people coming. Yes, they were all adults, but adults also like to have silly fun too. So we basically told her, no. Please put them back. Her response was some version of "they're just kids. It's a kids' holiday." I asked her if she usually lets her kids take candy from strangers off the ground in public parks, and said something along the lines of, "Weird parenting choice, but okay," and she got huffy and told the kids they were leaving and to put them back. The kids threw some of the eggs on the ground but still left with probably 40 eggs in total. Again, that's 80 to 120 pieces of candy that we bought. For our friends. And ourselves. Not for random children who didn't even bother to ask before taking it. If they'd asked, we probably would have said sure, within reason. 2 to 3 apiece. Not literally half of them. Also, as they were leaving, my girlfriend called after them, "Good luck finding the ones filled with fentanyl," which was very funny, but I don't think they heard. Anyway, now I feel like an A for calling her a bad parent in front of her kids and for ruining their fun, but I also have a real tendency to feel insanely guilty anytime I stand up for myself, blame my own mom's stellar parenting for that, so I just wanted a temperature check. This was objectively insane behavior, right? Or, comment 1. ESH. Dumb move. Public park. But the mother should have stopped them right away. They actually could have had something bad in them. She should have insisted they put them all back. She's teaching them to be thieves. Comment 2. ESH. No, I wouldn't let my kids pick up random shit in a park. You suck for hiding candy in a public place frequented by kids, in plastic eggs during Easter. Kids were bound to find them, and all the parents then had to explain to their kids that they couldn't have them. You also have a responsibility to find every one of those so you wouldn't leave trash behind. You also didn't think that animals could find these. Zero concern for a dog chocking on your shitty eggs. Mom was just rude. You endangered animals and decided a public park was your private playground. Making you the biggest R. Comment 3. NTA. We have done hunts at public parks along with other families there. No one took anyone else's eggs or things like that. The kids shared toys and things amongst themselves, but it was peace and respect. Story 4. Agreeing to help a woman beggar at the grocery store and then bailing on her. I was going into my local grocery store to get a few things and a woman outside stopped me and asked if I would get something for her kids. I would prefer to buy something from a store than give out money because I know exactly what it's being used for, not drugs or alcohol, so I agreed. She insisted on coming into the store with me. We go in and she beelines it to the laundry aisle and picks out the most expensive detergent, around $30 to $40. She tells me she needs to wash her daughter's clothes. I reluctantly agreed and started walking her towards the checkout. Then she starts saying she hasn't washed her hair and picks out a shampoo, soap, and conditioner. Not the grocery store brand either, that's fairly cheap at the name brand stuff. It seemed like she was intentionally picking out the most expensive items in the aisle. I get in line and she joins me with like 7 or 8 things now in her arms, probably adding up to $80 to $100. I froze for a minute, not knowing what to do. It was a long line that day, so I had a few minutes to process. Finally, I just told her I was sorry and walked out with her standing in line holding the items. I walked a few streets over to a smaller grocery store and got everything I needed. My gut tells me she was trying to rip me off, but I also felt awful thinking about the look on her face as I turned to leave and how embarrassing it must have been for her to be stood in line after that or putting the items back. The money wasn't insignificant, but it wouldn't have been missed from my account. I would have liked to have done something nice for someone, but the whole experience felt off, and now I'm worried I did the exact opposite of a good deed and left someone hanging. My friend's opinion? I find it pretty hard to believe that a homeless person only wanted one detergent that sells super well on the streets or Facebook Marketplace, and 2. the most expensive shampoos and soaps possible. That woman was 100% testing to see if you'd stop her after the expensive detergent, and when you seemed to be a sucker, she tried to get the most she could out of you. 3. No food or medicine? You'd think on the streets that'd be the hardest to get. Extra, cancelling my wedding out of the blue for a rumor about my fiancé and my best friend? Me, F26, and my fiancé, M27, have been in a relationship for 4 years, and engaged for 1. I've always felt like our relationship was solid and stable, since we rarely got into fights, and even those would be light discussions. He's the sweetest, most supportive partner I've had, and truthfully I've been imagining our wedding for some months now. Everything came down once he told my mother-in-law that he proposed to me. I was in the same room, and I could see how her face fell. She pulled him into another room and I couldn't hear what they said, but I saw my fiancé's face as if he had been screamed at. My mother-in-law soon after apologized and excused herself out of our apartment. After I asked him what happened, he didn't really answer me, just said that it was mom and son stuff. I didn't pressure on it, but it left a very bad taste in my mouth. Normally, I told my best friend, F26, about what happened, and she immediately changed the topic. Not really acknowledging how weird it was or how I felt at his excuse. I didn't really get to ask why she was acting this way, since she always dismissed it or told me it wasn't that serious and I should be focused on the wedding. Days after, I met with my wedding coordinator to choose the overall aesthetic I wanted. My fiancé didn't come with me since he was working, so my sister-in-law agreed to help me out. I saw this as an opportunity to make connection with his family. Sister-in-law was acting weird, almost uncomfortable by the planning. I thought it was normal, and she was probably overwhelmed by the planning. As I was looking for ideas, my sister-in-law pulls me to the side and says that she can't hold this secret any longer, because it wasn't fair for me. She told me that her brother and my best friend had been seeing each other behind my back, and my mother-in-law found out about this, but told her he would soon break up with me. I was gobsmacked. I asked if she was sure of this and she said it's what she's heard, so not 100% sure. I confronted him about this, and he only responded with getting mad at his sister and me for believing gossip. I tried to understand, but as the days went on I couldn't handle the nerves and I left to my cousin's apartment. This morning, I sent out an email and messages to all my family members, saying that the wedding was cancelled. I really want to confront my best friend, but I know she will deny everything. With the wedding being so close, I couldn't handle the anxiety I felt. He has been exploding my phone with messages since I left, and I don't know what to do.